because that's how we relate to each other through our emotions. Oh, I've been angry too. Oh, I've been jealous too. Oh, I've been frustrated too. Oh, I've been frustrated about that. And so that's how we reel people in. And if you don't have a clear idea of how to reel people in, it's frustrating.
Greetings, everyone. Come on in and have a seat up front for the Funny Muscle Podcast. If you're here, then you're looking to learn how to create laughs like a pro. So please help me welcome to the stage your co-host to help you do that, economics professor and open micer Chris Stifler and comedian turned author Mike Lucas.
Have you done the writing exercise where you take topics and you turn them into premises?
Yeah, how does that work?
Well, a topic, as we talked about before, is just whatever subject matter the bit is about. And a premise is the emotional angle on that topic. So your topic could be cell phone, and your emotional element could be, I don't know, jealousy. I'm jealous of my cell phone's ability to know the answer to every question in the world. Or I'm frustrated at my cell phone tracking me all the time. And so now the cell phone, instead of it being a topic of the cell phone, now there's a premise to it. That guy hates that thing, or he's embarrassed by that thing, or he's frustrated by that thing. And so we did an exercise where we took a random word generator and created topics. And out of those topics, we turned those into premises and we took turns reading them out loud. It's fun.
So you don't even have to add a joke there. You're just basically flexing your reps of
Yeah.
going topic to premise.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes
Just
a,
topic to premise.
and where do you get the random name generator or topic generator?
The random word generator comes online. You can just Google that and you can get a random word generator. And it's interesting. It's cool. And it goes to show you that everybody has their own angle on how they're going to interpret that topic. So if you have a good, clear comedy lens, your angle the take you have on that topic is going to reflect that. So then it'll be original, it'll be relatable, and it'll be unique because it's coming from you, and so like you doing a cell phone bit's going to be different than me doing a cell phone bit.
So did you have pretty unique comedy lenses in the audience or the class two class?
We didn't really go through the comedy lenses because they weren't my class, and so it wasn't really my place to teach them their comedy lens, and it would have taken up the whole class to do it. So I wanted to give them a chance to pitch their material. It was the first time they pitched material in that because this was only their second level two class.
Okay, if you adopted this exercise for the hour you work on your comedy, say you take the first 15 minutes as a warm up, or it's like hitting drivers off the driving range.
Right.
Could you do it by yourself? Can you do it by yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you would just take that random word generator and hit generate, and then whatever word comes up, you just say, okay, well, what's my emotional reaction to that word? Like we could do it right now.
Yeah, let me see. Let me Google here. Random word generator, right?
Yep.
Randomwordgenerator.com. Okay.
So then, yeah, just generate a word and then find one that's appropriate for what we're trying to do. I mean, you can do it with any word, but some of them are a little bit, like if it says fusion or something weird. I guess you could do fusion too.
Stranger.
Right, stranger. So then you would take what's your emotional. Mine is that stranger danger. The first thing is I'm automatically afraid of strangers because of stranger danger. And I'm always shocked at how nice people end up being.
I always think of terms of like asymmetric information. I don't know this person, so I got to figure out a way to. Economics would help me figure out a way if this person's a good person or bad person, or a good quality or low quality, or high quality or bad quality, or
So it's fear as your emotion.
so you're saying curiosity? No,
It's got to be a heightened emotion. It's got to be something that makes us turn our heads a little bit. Because and it becomes whatever your answer here is, whatever the emotion is, it becomes the blank. And how blank is it? So let's say for you, you're saying that what about strangers? You're curious about them.
I'm curious. Yeah.
So your premise would have something that would imply that you're curious about strangers. Strangers make me curious. I want to know about them. I want to know yeah, because you have an economic methodology for analyzing people. So strangers can go into that program.
And then you kind of set it up. So once you add the emotion, you basically add
Like a
it's like
personal reason why you're talking about this thing.
yeah, so it's not just like dogs.
Yeah, aren't
Who
dogs
has a
crazy?
dog out
I
there?
think dogs are crazy because I don't like the way they look at me when I'm doing weird stuff. That's
Yeah,
judgmental.
it's almost like you turn it into like assertion, and then you're like the audience is like, okay, then like it like almost begs for proof.
Yeah, you
Proof
want to
then.
prove it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you open up a loop and then you close the loop with your punchline.
English literature.
Mm. I'm afraid of it because it's too fancy. It scares me, makes me feel embarrassed. It makes me feel like I can't do it. Shakespeare always made me, I always was like, what are you people talking about?
It's the same way. It's like this guy, like I could reread that sonnet twice and be like, I have no idea what thou
Bust thou
hast
there, bust not
said
blah, bust
thus
and did that and
the
blah, but less
yeah.
than blah. What are you saying? Salah, haven't, shaven't, servant. Yeah, I don't like
Lowercase.
lowercase. Ah, interesting. How to have a attitude about lowercase. I often love lowercase. Lowercase is like the blue collar letter. It's not like the capital letter, like, oh, look at me, I'm the head of the word. No, I'm just part of the group, man. I'm just part of spelling this thing.
Then you kind of almost like it starts to be a frog bank where you're like you got blue collar worker
Right.
and
And
literature or grammar,
you got fonts.
fonts, prepositional phrases, the
Right.
workhorse, the tool belt of the plumber, or I don't know.
Yeah. What about you? What's your lowercase?
I dislike when people lowercase their names as a way to like woke virtue signal.
Right.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's good.
And does that ask like beg for an assert like a proof to it? Like this
Yeah, we
obviously is
want
going
to
to
hear
shift
more about it. We
into
want to hear about like an example of it, and we want to see why that's funny. And what like your sarcastic attitude about how fancy they are because or how woke they are, you know. Okay, lowercase Michael. All right,
it's
non-caps Robert. Yeah. But it at least it gives you a beginning because I've here's what I've also realized is when you're looking for material, there's two ways to go about it. One is from the punchline backwards, and one is from the premise forward. So if you come up with a funny idea, it's more like the punchline, like the guy's voice going, "Well, I don't want to do that today." And I want to get to that. I want to get to, well, I don't want to do that today. Well, I have to figure out, I got to backtrack it. I got to reverse engineer that punchline into a premise and setup that sets me up to say, I don't want to do that today. But if I don't have an idea of what's funny and I just go, oh, I want to talk about something, I just want to use my lens today to make something funny, I can use that random word generator. Or I could say, you know what, I really want to do some more marriage material. So I'm going to put marriage through this
mm.
machine. So I'm going to do marriage. What's my emotional attitude about marriage? I'm sick of it. It's uh it's a false promise or whatever, whatever your bit is on marriage.
And how did the students react to that? Was it where did they get it?
They liked it, yeah. Except first they were a little confused, like you were. Like, what do you like? They would answer me something. I'm like, yeah, but you haven't told me the emotion you have about that premise, about that topic. They didn't. They were trying to be funny before they were trying to like
Yeah.
figure out their emotion. We're not good at tracing our emotions a lot of times.
Well, there's even you can even just put in a motion generator.
Mm.
Uh,
How do I feel
okay.
about this?
Mathematician plus guilt.
Well, you can I feel guilty that I often think that every answer has somehow numeric. But I think that I don't like the idea of generating the emotion. I think that's
Yeah.
part of the exercise is to see what your emotion is. And when you generate one, it takes away that practice.
Is this like an improv drill too? We do that on stage or anything? Is it just help you get more
Not that I know.
facile with
I mean, there's different games and drills you can do to create content. Name 5 movies that you wish existed. One, Revenge of the Fatties. Two, whatever. Here they come. They're big and they're angry. They're hangry.
But is it improv? You're not really doing premises, though, are you?
Not really,
Like, is it
no.
is a different tool, a different
We're
kind
doing
of.
relationships.
And did you generate any jokes from that exercise with this class, or is it more understanding
Well,
that you're not doing jokes? So
you
jump to the
can,
humor,
no, you don't
jump
do
to the.
jokes. You're just doing the emotion and turning a topic into a premise. And then you can take that exercise further and you can give them more time and you can take that premise and turn that into a joke. But that takes a little more time. But
It seems like you see a lot of people try to jump to the joke before they kind of leapfrog over the premise.
always, yeah, well, yeah. Or they're doing the premise and going straight to the setup and punchline because they're not satisfied with just doing a topic to premise.
You have a couple in your the ones you generate from Instagram Reels, so we can go through.
I've got, you mean some bits?
Yeah, some blueprint. Can we do some blueprint practice?
Breaking it down bit by bit. Identify the premise, misdirection, and wit. Master your craft, don't just slog. Analyze and practice, dissecting the frog.
I got a Louis C.K., I got a Drew Thomas, and I got a Bill Burr, and
All
I've
right.
got a Nate Bergazzi. All right, so here's
Every religion has a strange story or a rule that doesn't make sense to me. You know, like every time there's a terrorist act, they always tell you on the news about how they believe they're all going to heaven, and he gets 72 virgins. That's right. That's the story always. 72 virgins.
well, that's the topic. Everyone who does a jihad gets 72 virgins.
First of all, who are those women? Who are the 72 virgins?
So now that's his attitude, right? Who are those women? So he's in awe, he's in shock that this is true. So that's his attitude. And so his first question is, who are these women? He's not looking at it from the jihadist's point of view or from God's point of view. He's looking at it from the virgin's point of view. So it's a different perspective.
Does God have to kill 72 nice girls?
There's a cut forward too. It's a maybe a kind of a fantasy outlet for frustration. It's sort of like, does God have to kill 72 nice girls? That's sort of a what if proposition.
All right, ladies. The good news is you're going to heaven.
So this is the act out of the cut
Yeah,
forward.
yeah.
The weird news.
Overstating the obvious. The weird news is
Or does God just make them fresh like farm-raised salmon? He just...
that's a nice simile. He makes them fresh like farm raised salmon.
whips up 72 women. All right, nobody fuck these. I'm saving them for that guy.
And that's like a recognition laugh. Nobody eat these. I'm saving them for dinner. Nobody touch these. I'm saving them for a special event. It's funny.
This is a lot of humor hiding devices in there. I mean, you're ripping off
Yeah.
different perspective, state the obvious, simile, cut forward to, and then the recognition.
That's the thing about these really good comedians like Louis C.K. is they're using multiple heightening devices all at once.
But going back to like the re-engineering, starting with the topic to premise, and then he just performs his magic where you have a ton of different jokes with different heightening devices.
Oh yeah, we're watching the very end result of his working this bit 100 times. Like we're not watching
there
an open mic trying a new idea out.
is there a wrong way to do it? Like if he didn't do premise setup, or sorry, like topic premise, like as a young comedian where you have a funny joke about 72 virgins or this idea, how do you re-engineer into stand-up structure?
I mean, that's the whole point. Like you're writing a joke, so you're doing premise, setup, punchline.
You can't just like jump in and say, but I guess even if you say it's weird that people believe they get 72-year-old versions, 72 virgins. That's even a premise in itself, right?
Yeah,
If we're
but
saying
that's
it's
what he's
weird.
saying. That's what he said. He just said it more sophisticated, right? I mean, here's how he starts it out.
Every religion has a strange story or...
Strange. So he's got
Strange. So, yeah,
a strange story or rule. Here's one. So he's already flagging it as strange. So that's the taking a topic and turning it into a premise. It doesn't say, and he even says it doesn't make sense to me. So he doesn't say it's a confusing rule. He says it doesn't make sense to me. So he's making it personal.
This is very like in the steps of like running stand-up. This is very much like the drill of what is weird, hard, scary, or stupid about
Look at that. It's the same thing.
jihadists. Yeah, yeah.
Same thing. Yeah, it's
But
just
that's a good drill for people is to ask yourself what's weird, hard, scary, or stupid about X topic that you just are working
yeah. Well,
bits
that's the
from.
same exercise. I mean, it's just, but I'm just saying there's more emotions than weird, hard, or scary. But and there's different ways to phrase, those things. But who's that? Judy Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's smart. It's the same thing. Want to do another one?
Yeah.
This is Drew Thomas.
A white older lady gets on the elevator with me, and all of a sudden she clutches her purse. It made me feel some type of way.
Right. So
There you go. Emotion.
yeah, the topic is white lady, black man on elevator, and she clutched her purse, so it made him feel a certain way.
I want to pause right here because it sounds like he's more of a storyteller. Almost sounds like he's telling a story, but when you really break it down, he does have emotion and premise in his story.
Yeah.
And then it made the whole situation uncomfortable because I'm pulling, she's pulling, I'm pulling.
So now we got a bait and switch, right? And it turns out that his negative is really him doing the thing he's saying that she's afraid of anyways. So he's using some sarcasm, some irony.
I'm pulling. Just let go of the purse.
And see, to me, that's funny is because we know that didn't really happen. We know that this guy's not a thief and he's a comedian. So he's making fun of the fact that this lady clutched her purse. And it's like a fantasy outlet for frustration. Wouldn't it be funny if I actually did grab her purse and I was fighting her over it? Here, I'll play it from the beginning.
A white older lady gets on the elevator with me, and all of a sudden she clutches her purse.
So that's the topic. There's no emotion yet to it.
It made me feel some type of way.
Now he added emotion to it. It made me feel a certain way, a type of way, meaning I didn't feel comfortable. I felt negative.
And then it made the whole situation uncomfortable because I'm pulling, she's pulling, I'm pulling.
There's almost like a recognition with that too. I'm pulling, she's pulling, I'm pulling, she.
Recognition, yeah. We all get the visual of the thief pulling on a purse and the woman
Like a war, yeah.
and trying not to let it go. Yeah, so that's a recognition laugh.
For younger comedians, do you think bait and switch or what pullback and reveals like that are easier to write with? Like are one of the easier heightening devices to start with?
I think so. They're pretty big and they're pretty simple. Like I'm making love to my wife on the bed, and all of a sudden we get kicked out of Home Depot.
I was pulling around in the car on the way over here, and the Uber driver didn't like it.
Exactly. Same. It's a joke. It's a pattern that we all recognize. And as we do more and more stand-up comedy, we begin to recognize that trick. It's a trick. I'm talking about this. No, I'm really talking about that.
Yes. That's this central joke structure of your blueprint is misdirection. It's just,
Yep.
I feel like it's easier to see the misdirection when there's a sudden no one's in the room and then suddenly someone's in a room. It's like
Right.
the pullback, the bait and switch or pullback and reveal is how do you re-engineer a pullback and reveal? Do you ask yourself, what does the audience think when I say these words? And then try to see what your mind's eye looks like and then be like, well, how can I make it so the mind's eye is not what the audience is seeing?
Yeah, I think you're just doing a real basic misdirection. I'm giving only enough information to make you assume we're talking about an obvious thing, but then I'm revealing that it's something that's not so obvious, something that you also recognize, and something that fits that setup. He never said he wasn't grabbing her purse. He just said that she clutched her purse. So when she clutched her purse, we didn't realize that he meant that she clutched her purse because he was grabbing it.
Right, right. But you're taking a very recognizable scene where the one person just is individually clutching her purse,
Right.
but it's
And he's like, I felt a certain way about it. And, and it turns out he's frustrated because he can't steal his purse. And the whole thing is it's a exaggeration of how he felt about being accused of being a thief. Well, what if I was a thief? Fuck you. How about that?
there's other heightening devices at work in this one besides the bait and switch.
Yeah, you've got, let's see, there's overstating the obvious. I'm pulling, she's pulling, I'm pulling, she's pulling. That's just a very, I'm stating what happens when someone tries to steal a person, someone's resisting. And there's recognition laugh, there's bait and switch. So just let go of the purse, he's
It's overstating the obvious. The solution, it's like an easy solution is just to,
right.
and then it's being robbed.
Yeah. That one lady really likes that. You could tell she's just a loud white lady. It reinforces everything I'm afraid of. Ha ha ha. And that's what the joke is. The joke is to poke fun of that person who's trigger happy in their racist reaction to somebody who looks different than them, who enters into the elevator. But that was what, 4 or 5 heightening devices just in that one little bit. Pretty complex. So this is a good one. This is Bill Burr. I should set it up first. This is a thing about abortion, and he's saying I'm pro-life, but I'm pro-choice, but you hear me out first. Is sort of the setup.
Pro-choice always made sense to me because I don't like people telling me what to do. And I was just like, it's your body. Who the fuck am I to tell you what to do with your body? So that always made sense, all right? However, I still think you're killing a baby. See? That's where it gets weird. It's not a baby yet. That's what they say, which may or may not be true. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'll tell you, my gut tells me that doesn't make sense. It's not a baby yet. That would be like if I was making a cake and I poured some batter in a pan and I put it in the oven, and then 5 minutes later you came by and you grabbed the pan, you threw it across the floor, and I went, what the fuck, you just ruined my birthday cake? And then you were like, well, that wasn't a cake yet. It's like, well, it would have been. If you didn't do what you just did, there would have been a cake in 50 minutes. Something happened to that cake, you cake murdering son of a bitch.
Brilliant, right? It's a total simile that he goes into, and now we have subtext. We're no longer talking about, we were talking about a cake, but we're really talking about abortion.
There's also like the visual too. It's like you can see in your mind's eye, like I picture like the white batter, and then
Right.
the cake pan and the
It's,
clanging of the
right,
pan across the.
across the kitchen. Yeah. So his premise is
Pro-choice always made sense to me.
pro-choice always made sense to me because I don't like people telling me what to do. So what's that emotion that he did? Pro-choice makes sense to me because I don't like people telling me what to do. So the emotion is stubbornness, like resistance.
Who the fuck am I to tell you what to do with your body? So that always made sense.
So that makes sense. He's just restating what he already said. Pro-choice makes sense. This is what pro-choice is. It
Right.
makes sense. However,
I still think you're killing a baby.
overstating the obvious.
See? That's where it gets weird.
It's weird. So resistant and weird are his emotions. How weird is it?
It's not a baby yet.
And so then he quotes somebody, it's not a baby yet.
Mm.
That's the new, he's like, I don't buy that. That's bullshit. That's the premise. The topic is it's not a baby yet. And
I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'll tell you, my gut tells me that doesn't make sense.
doesn't make sense. Again, it's bullshit. I resist this concept.
It's not a baby yet. That would be like if I was making a cake.
Simile. That would be like, so now we're going into the simile.
Making a cake.
When you start looking for the emotion, you can see he reiterates the emotion like 3 times already.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
That's basically the structure of it, right? He just says it in different words, but it's
Right. But he's getting us set up for the idea that, well, now he's getting us set up for the idea of you're still killing a baby, but it's your baby, so it's your choice.
That would be like if I was making a cake and I poured some batter in a pan and I put it in the oven, and then 5 minutes later you came by and you grabbed the pan, you threw it across the floor.
So he's doing a frog bank, right? He's
So
doing
he's
the guy saying that wasn't a baby yet. So he's doing the abortion guy, and he's doing the cake ruining guy. He's bringing them together. I'm ruining your cake, which is I'm ruining your baby.
yeah. Does he use that same tone of voice like when he jumps into the well, I'm not ruining your cake. He kind of switches like voices. Did he
Right.
do that voice earlier when he talked about the abortion guy?
I
And he
think
say, I'm not
so.
ruining your yeah, yeah. It's like almost like a you like call back to that person in the scene again. He did the same way when he did that like the checkout counter bit we looked at one time when he said like
Oh yeah, like the put the mayo
yeah,
on. Yeah.
but yeah, he's good at that. Like
Guy, the guy on this side of the counter ordering the sandwich, guy who makes the sandwich. Yeah.
It's like, well, it would have been. If you didn't do what you just did, there would have been a cake in 50 minutes. Something happened to that cake, you cake murdering son of a bitch.
You cake murdering son of a bitch. So you baby murdering son of a bitch.
yeah, it
Recognition.
makes sense. Yeah, cake murdering sounds funny because it's not even a term, but you understand why it makes sense.
Well, yeah, because he's frog banking it. Fun, right? Like
Yeah.
doing a abortion bit. He sucks us in thinking he's pro choice, but he's really agreeing with the pro life people. But he's just saying it's your right to kill the baby, but you are killing a baby.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's a typical Bill Burr. He giveth and he taketh away.
Can you get away without stand-up structure? Like if as a storyteller, like a really good personality storyteller.
Well, you got to get laughs and you've got to set up for misdirection and you've got to and you got to do it quick and you got to do it cleverly where it's not no one sees what you're doing. So it's hard, but yeah, I mean Nate Bargatze
Sure.
is a storyteller and he does that all the time.
But do you still think there's, if you really examine deeply, there's set up punchline premise. It doesn't feel like they're doing it, but they are doing it.
Yeah, I think they're all doing it. It just doesn't look recognizable. Like here's Nate Bargatze. Let's see what he's going to talk about.
When you go to open mic and you almost are unsatisfied because you can't follow someone's logic, is it because they don't have the strict premise set up punchline like we're all used
Yeah.
to from pros?
Well, they don't. Yeah, they're not dialing into a topic and then emotionally relating to it so we can relate to them. Because that's how we relate to each other through our emotions. Oh, I've been angry too. Oh, I've been jealous too. Oh, I've been frustrated too. Oh, I've been frustrated about that. And so that's how we reel people in. And if you don't have a clear idea of how to reel people in, it's frustrating.
I love pancakes. I love them so much.
So that's his emotion is bliss, is love, pure love of pancakes. Pancakes are a pure positive.
I love pancakes. I love them so much. And they make me so tired.
And then positive to negative. They make me so tired. In recognition, because everyone knows eating pancakes makes you exhausted.
And I never blame them. I'm always like, what is up with me today?
It's funny. What is up with me today? Like it's a recognition laugh. Like I'm mad at myself for not being able to pull it together. What could it be?
I can't get it going, you know? And I'll go to my wife, I'm like, I think we need new pillows. And she's like, you think it's that loaf of bread and syrup you just say?
Overstating the obvious right there. Fun, right?
Is there a misdirection there?
I love the pancakes. So we think he's going to talk about how great they are. And they make me so happy. They make me so blissful. They make me
Yeah,
so
so it almost
happy,
feels like
so tired.
so it's kind of a misdirection with just you're expecting a positive emotion, but then he jumps to negative.
It's almost a little bit of a bait and switch.
Does he even also change his voice? Like his voice kind of tone shifted
I'm
real
so
quick.
tired.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so like the tone of your voice was even a little bit of a surprise because you're expecting
Yeah, exactly. He's using a verbal surprise as well. Like he's misdirected us to think that the sentence was going to end a certain way verbally also.
And I never blame him. I'm always like, what is up with me today?
I love that because he's like, it's almost like there's like a weird irony of it where the audience knows what's up with him today, but he doesn't. Where the character on stage doesn't know something that the audience knows, which is sort of a stage irony, or it's called something, some kind of irony.
I can't get it going, you know? And I'll go to my wife. I'm like, I think we need new pillows.
So that's fine. I think we need new pillows. Like he's trying to problem solve with his ignorance. Like he's ironically problem solving. Well,
Yeah, you're right, but it's funny because why the problem as the audience
like
member,
it
but
has
the
nothing to
the
do with the
actor.
pillows. Exactly. So that's an irony.
And she's like, you think it's that loaf of bread and syrup you just say?
The loaf of bread line is, I think, the funniest to me because it's
Well, yeah, it's overstating the obvious and it's exaggeration and it's sarcasm.
like you don't think of like pancakes as loaf of bread, but then you kind of do, right? Actually, because it's just laden with carby,
Oh yeah.
sugary
Well, it's a
mess.
funny way. It's a metaphor. Pancakes are a loaf of bread.
Obviously, that dialogue probably never happened, right?
Right.
But
It's a
he,
reflection of the truth of the fact that he loves pancakes, but they're no good for him and he can't figure out why, but his wife is smart enough to know why.
so as a writer, how did he write that? Like, does he say, how do I add an extra height into this bit? Let's
I bet
let's write
he's
the dialogue.
I bet he's the kind of guy that comes up with the funny idea first. And he was like, man, pancakes make me sleepy, but I love him so much. But my wife is hip to that. I don't know how he writes. I don't know how it came about. Be a good question to ask him.
Your point of dissecting is like he writes it in such a way that the person with a microphone doesn't understand. Everyone else hearing
Right.
this knows exactly the answer.
Yeah.
But you get he keeps on running that like dynamic several times.
Yeah. What type of irony? Let me see what types of irony. It's a situational, oh no, dramatic irony, where the audience knows something that the characters do not. So it's called dramatic irony, not screen irony. Sorry, my bad.
Okay.
Dramatic irony. So then the final one I had to look at was we were talking a little bit in class about jokes in the beginning of your set that sort of introduce you as a character, to sort of introduce your comedy lens and who you are.
Okay,
And
like a rapid like
yeah, and Andy Huggins is a guy he's an old guy. So his basic he's answering the question, how old am I? How extra old am I? Multiple times as he introduces himself to this crowd. Well, I'll pause him after each one.
I started walking towards the stage 3 comics ago.
I started walking towards the stage 3 comics ago. How old am I? I'm so old that it took me this long to get here.
40 years ago, when I started doing stand-up, everyone told me it was a great way to meet women. We'll see.
How old am I? I've been doing this for 40 years and I still haven't gotten laid.
I joined a dating site for people my age called Carbon Dating.
How old am I? I'm so old that my dating site is called Carbon Dating.
I asked a woman on the site for her number. She told me it was 140/95.
How old am I? I communicate with blood pressure instead of phone numbers.
to me that one is the most easiest to see in the blueprint of the misdirection because number could mean
Right.
we're anticipating phone number, right? But number can also mean your
Well, there's a
blood pressure
recognition
number.
too. I asked her for her number. When you say I asked her for her number, we automatically assume it's phone number. But yeah, that's a good misdirection.
Do the other ones, the other one-liners he uses doesn't have as much, it's harder to pinpoint the misdirection.
They're there though.
Like, okay, what's the misdirection in they called me up to the stage 3 comics ago and I made my way so slowly.
Right. So let's watch it and see what the misdirection is.
I started walking towards the stage 3 comics ago.
So the misdirection is that it doesn't normally take that long to get to the stage, but he's old. so it took him longer. But so there's an implied misdirection. I started walking towards the stage minutes ago, 3 comics ago. So yeah, it's very subtle, that misdirection.
40 years ago, when I started doing stand up, everyone told me it was a great way to meet women.
So now we expect him to say, and it's been great. I've been getting laid all the time.
We'll see.
And it's real subtle, just we'll see. Just seems like so terse too, like it's
Yeah.
abrupt and
And like he's still hopeful.
but he's not punching down at women either.
No.
They're not liking him. He's
No,
punching him.
how old am I?
I joined a dating site for people my age called Carbon Dating.
That's a play on words. That's a made-up institution. How old am I? I joined a dating site. The misdirection is it's a dating site will recognize, right? Like whatever the dating sites are called. I don't even know them.
I asked a woman on the site for her number. She told me it was 140/95.
So that's again the misdirection. I ask her for a number. It could be phone number, but it's
Told me it was 140/95.
Yeah, so that's funny because people recognize the. If you would have said, "I asked her for a number," and she gave me her blood pressure number, yeah, that might get a laugh because it's misdirection, but
now the 140 over
recognition.
95. We allows us to put the piece together. Oh, it's her blood pressure.
Yeah, it's that almost like extra like satisfaction for the audience of like the construction themselves, put it together.
Right. Like we're figuring out the irony of the dramatic irony with something that he doesn't know. It can be a one-trick pony though. How old am I? 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 Okay, we get it. You're old. What else?
You say it's a bad thing?
It could be. It could get old. You can it's like Anthony Jeselnik. It's like Stephen Wright. It's like Mitch Hedberg. You could argue that they're all brilliant comedians and you'd be right. But their rhythm gets to be repetitious. And so
yeah,
after
that's
about
definitely.
20 minutes, it wears on you. You begin to predict it.
Where do you put someone like that in a show? Say you have a.
Headliner.
Was it a disservice to put a Burt Kreischer storyteller after 20 minutes of having the crowd get into the
No, Burt
the
Kreischer,
one-liner?
he's a headliner because he's a storyteller and he's big and he'd be tough to follow.
But ignore the fact that he's a headliner. Let me just say a story. You have a one-liner person and a storyteller person, and
You probably put the storyteller up first and then the one-liner person up first and the storyteller up second. I would think. I don't know though. It depends. I don't know if I'd want to follow Mitch Hedberg.
what if you have two of those? What if you have two one-liner comics on a show of five? Do you space them out, or do you put them back to back?
Well, you try to space out rhythms so that
Yeah.
the crowd doesn't get too used to anything.
I remember one of your friends we met at TK's Lounge was almost like critical of the comic that had like the noxious rhythm, like the one-liner rhythm.
Right.
He spoke to it as very negative. Is that?
Well, because he got tired of it. It became predictable to him. And he could tell when the punchlines were coming, and so therefore the surprise was no longer there. There was no misdirection.
Okay. So it can be a bad thing if it's too like belabored.
Yeah, well, if it's too often, it's like doing triplets all the time. Da-da-da-la,
You always
da-da-da-la, 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 da-da-da-la. Okay, we get it. There's three of them, you know. That's why you got to mix up all those heightening devices.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like Paul Varghese advice to us about like writing with different people with different humor styles because
Right.
it'll help you vary your own.
Right? That was smart advice. Yeah, smart advice.
Those are good. They're good to get back into the kind of the bread and butter of drills.
Yeah, I like watching comedians and breaking down what they're doing and seeing how they're weaving all those heightening devices together and how they're doing their own misdirection, you know.
Like irony seems like in your books you talk about irony as like a high level, real hard, definitely a harder
Oh, it's one
humor.
of the tricky ones.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd say it's one of the tricky ones for sure. But that dramatic irony is fun where the audience knows something that you don't know.
You never thought of even trying to write that from that perspective. What could the audience know that you don't?
Well, like there's in improv, we did a scene where that dramatic irony was happening because the king was about to be killed by an assassin, but the assassin was like a ninja. So every time the king turned around, the assassin would disappear, and the audience could see that the assassin was there and was going to kill him, but the king couldn't.
Ah, okay.
And then the king would do
Uh,
things that would put him in danger, but because he was quickly turning around, it precluded the danger. So that became funny.
as a improv brain, you understand the game. The game is death is coming, and everyone knows death is coming. But let me put what
Everyone but me.
scenarios could I heighten that'd be so extreme? Like, let me stick my neck over here
Right,
underneath this,
exactly. Yeah. And then at the last second, you move your neck.
and then okay,
Like that
I can
damn
see why there's like
fly.
tension in the room and like,
Yeah.
huh.
And the audience loves it because they're like, oh no, look out. Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's why they like pro wrestling. They like pro wrestling a lot. Like, like it's so hokey. Like the guy's music hits and he's in the ring waiting for the bad guy and he's like looking at the jumbotron, looking at the entrance, and meanwhile the guy's right behind him. Right, he came in through the crowd and like
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. Look out.
same
No,
kind.
you got
Yeah, yeah. There's a kind of a
what?
funness of
What?
like,
What?
why do we love that? Same thing.
I don't love it, but why do people
No.
love that?
Yeah.
Because they're idiots? No, because we love dramatic irony. We love the idea that we're in on something that someone else isn't.
Yeah, maybe it's a part of being in on it is the
That's
is
why
the
we love
good
it.
way of, but you can make your audience feel like you're in on the, yeah, how do you do that? Like in professional wrestling, it's like you want to make it feel like you're clapping motivates the good guy to like get extra energy.
Right.
And then you feel in on the show. So I guess how do you make the audience feel in on the show without them doing crowd work, like actually talking?
Well, you set up some dramatic irony. You can do that. You
Or
know,
like the one what I call like the Betty Crocker, where they put the piece together or the puzzle in their head and they
yeah.
almost like do
Yeah, you give them
add the
enough to figure it out, and then you,
add the eggs and the milk to the,
right.
they're almost rewarded for like getting like they got the crossword puzzle clue and they almost have like
Right.
a dopamine hit from like getting
Yeah,
the
exactly. It's a dopamine hit.
breadcrumbs. Huh.
Yeah. And then that's what you're doing as a writer. You're giving them mo those moments. You're letting them figure out that's why you show and you don't tell. If you show something, they can go, "Oh, he's jealous. Oh, he's angry." If you say he was angry, then you don't you take away that ability for them to figure that out.
Yeah, and discover it on your own. I realized
Yeah.
that as my first book being an econ book where I teach you what I'm going to teach you and then teach you the way I teach it.
Yeah.
Versus the storyteller is like you don't give away the punchline first.
No.
Thanks a lot for doing the legwork on all those bits for us.
Oh yeah, no worries. No worries. That was fun. All right, brother. Talk soon.
See ya.